Imagine a place where cannonballs are encouraged, marshmallows are mandatory, and just 5 more minutes turns into all day. That's Veranda Beach Resort on Lake Osoyoos, one of the warmest freshwater lakes in North America, located on the border of Canada in Oroville, Washington. The vibe is delightfully old school, with time spent with family and friends at the beach, on the lake, and under the stars. Sounds of laughter, dogs, and screen doors are the soundtracks of your stay. Rent your own fully furnished cottage with Wi-Fi and all the comforts you need. It's the best of then with all the ease of now. Veranda Beach Resort. Come play, stay, and make memories. Visit verandabeach.com now to book your stay.
Don't ask me to talk.
And welcome to another exciting edition of Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm one of your podcast pals. I'm Eric Ryder. Unfortunately, your other podcast pal and my co-host Stacy Heller is not available this week. So what we thought we'd do is put together a special Oops All Cultural Blind Spots episode. Now, if you listen to the show, you know that each week we talk about a big piece of culture that one of us has just now finally seen or, visited or tasted or whatever, depending if we're talking movies, food, places to visit, etc. The important part is they were big parts of the culture, and we hadn't had the chance to check it out until now. We're long overdue, and we're crossing these items off our list. So this particular episode, we're going to put together 3 instances where we talked about classic movies here on the show. And in these cases, I would watch the movie and then talk about it on the show. And then a week later, Stacy will have checked out the movie because she was inspired by me talking about the show. In another case, Stacy reviewed a movie and that made me want to watch the movie. So we put together a few of these episodes and you get to hear both sides of it. When I watched it, and then again when Stacy watched it. So if you enjoy these, be sure and check out the show. Each week, we talk about a new cultural blind spot for us. So on the show today, we talk about the classics RoboCop, Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin, and we talk about whatever happened to Baby Jane. So stay tuned. That's coming up on the show. Thanks for listening. And don't worry, we'll be back next week with a new show where we will tackle our great debate, which is which utensil is the MVP. That's right. We'll finally find out which utensil is the most valuable player. Oh yeah, great topics every week. So be sure and tune in next time. I watched the RoboCop trilogy for the first time in a while, and it just reminded me of what a perfect movie RoboCop is. And, me, I think talking about it on this show was what inspired me to watch it. But part of that was that I forgot to bring my streaming device with me to the coast, and in the room they had like a DVD player with, and I can't just I'm spoiled now that if I'm like watching cable, it's like, well, why can't I start this, myself, or why can't I find stuff that I want to watch, instead of, I love The Office, but I don't need like a, 24-hour marathon like in season 7, you know what I mean? So anyway, so they had like a DVD player with a Netflix and YouTube on it. So I connected it, and the Netflix wasn't working, so I switched on YouTube, and they had watch for free the movie RoboCop. Hey. I'm like, sure, this will be something. Haven't seen it in a while, so I start watching it on YouTube, and the YouTube version is a totally edited, cleaned up version for. And if you know the movie RoboCop, that does not work.
That's not going to fly.
You don't need a PG version of RoboCop. It shouldn't exist. It's a bastardization. And even though it was like all the effing and jeffing totally cut out, like, all the violence cut out.
That would be like watching a Guy Ritchie movie.
I'm surprised it wasn't a 20-minute video.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is it said rated R, and I start watching it, and it's like where they're like, you guys suck, kind of stuff out of it. It's like, wait, this doesn't seem right at all. So I was able to pull up on Hoopla, thankfully, on my laptop, the original version of RoboCop, and watched that and had such a fun time with it because it really is, I think, a perfect movie, that we decided to watch the sequels while we were there as well. So RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3, neither of them anywhere near as good as the original. And RoboCop is kind of a weird movie because it's like things just like lined up magically. Like everybody involved with it never did anything near as good again. This particular director, Paul Verhoeven, never made anything this good before or since. And like even the actors that are in it, they're all great, but they never did anything as good before or since. And the script writer, he wrote like 2 movies, nothing as good as RoboCop before or since.
Interesting. But like lightning in a bottle.
And absolutely, they just caught lightning in a bottle, and it's just like just a perfect, funny satire, but it's also moving and brilliant. And yeah, I didn't realize until this watch like just how much I think this movie is like one of the best movies of all time.
Wow! All right, I'm gonna have to check it out.
And the sequels 2 and 3. are for completists only. They really screw up the magic formula that they have with the first movie. Complete unforced errors, like the director didn't want to come back. Fair enough. But you've got an iconic score for the first movie. And it's got this amazing like theme song that, like, imagine Superman, those original Superman movies without that score, the John Williams score, or Star Wars without their score. They smartly brought him back on every movie, but they just completely switched composers for the second movie. And it sucks. It's just not as good. And, of course, different scriptwriter. And they managed to get most of the actors back, but yeah, it's just not good. And then with the third movie, they couldn't get like Peter Weller back as RoboCop, and the guy that fills in, he does an okay job, but it's nowhere near as good. So yeah, avoid those unless you really want to, complete the series, which is what we did.
All right.
But the first one I would recommend to anybody over the age of 15. This is not a movie for, small children.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
I watched RoboCop.
Finally!
I watched it, and
now please tell me you watched the 1987 version and not the remake that they did a few years back.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good.
Oh,
I just want to be sure because the 2015 version or whatever year it was is also just called RoboCop. But
I was very careful. I made sure, and based on the fashion and the commercials on TV, like nuke 'em.
Yes.
I was
get them before they get you.
I was like, wait, is this right now?
Right?
I mean, right? I was like, wow, this is fascinating. Yeah. So
what'd you think? Perfect movie, right?
Yes. It was okay. I suspect that it was like sort of first of its kind in some regards. I love the fact that the one of the big robots, not RoboCop, the other one, it couldn't do stairs, and it was like using its little robot
Ed
toes
209, yes.
Yeah, to like feel its way, and it was like, ding, ding.
Yeah. Major flaw in its design is that it can't handle stairs.
I was like, are you kidding me right now? That this is the thing that brought it down? That's amazing.
Yeah.
The guy going into the sewage or the acid and the weird things that were growing and whatever, I was like, okay, that took a very cartoony angle for a minute there.
Yeah, he basically becomes a toxic adventure for like 30 seconds.
Totally. I was like, that's interesting. I mean, it was just such a classic cops and bad guys and badder guys, and you know, the music was suspenseful.
Yes.
I was like, okay. So it was really fun, and it wasn't too violent. I mean, it was the kind of violence that was just like, you know, so ridiculous that you're like,
yeah,
all right. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it's over the top.
Yes.
And I think at the time it might have been shocking to people. But now, you know, we've seen much more violent stuff since then.
Totally.
To me, it's just like you go in thinking like, okay, this is going to be at like just a fun movie. But there's so many layers to it and cultural commentary. That's what makes it, you know, that elevates it above your average action movie, and makes it, you know, something more significant and more interesting.
Well, the news updates.
Yes.
Like, they were not necessarily
media break.
Yeah.
With Lisa Gibbons playing herself.
And they weren't like pushing the narrative really of the story. I mean, they would mention like the area and everything.
Yeah.
But it was just like stuff that was going on in the world. And then it was followed by like, you know, the bizarre ads for games and for like debauchery and, you know, whatever.
Right.
And it was just like, what is going on in this world? And then when you look at, you know, the world right now, you're like, oh,
it was
oh, that's
extremely
what's going on.
prescient. Yes.
Yes. So, so from that standpoint, and like, I was like, oh, poor RoboCop. Like, where does Son go and his wife? And then I was like, wait, when he lived in that house, was it like, I guess this is supposed to be in the future. And so, like, everything's so automated and everything. So that was fascinating. But then it's weird to see like the future, but I'm like, and you're wearing that? The 80s are not back that much. So yeah, it was, you're right. Like, you could watch this on multi levels and have satisfaction. Like, you know, the bad guys movies, the action movie, the political commentary, just the, you know, world commentary, human nature comment, like just all of the stuff. It was fascinating.
Yeah, I love also that they pretty much cast against type, but everybody's amazing in it. Like Kirkwood Smith, you don't automatically think, oh, that guy's a badass. You know, he played Red on that 70s show, you know, the dad, who's grumpy, but not like a criminal mastermind. No. But he's amazing in RoboCop as the leader of this gang of thugs.
With his little glasses on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I was just like...
And Peter Weller as RoboCop himself, you know, the reason why he got cast is because that he was kind of skinny. And so
he had a jawline.
Yeah, and he has a great jaw and great lips. And so he looked really good in the costume. Which I guess they didn't have until like weeks into filming, because they didn't have the costume finished. They had like a original concept. They figured that didn't work, and then they finally got this costume. So they were scrambling trying to film all the scenes without RoboCop before they finally got the costume and put him in it.
Wow.
And then apparently he had like a different concept on how to do the robot moves and stuff. And they're like, oh, this is bad. they're like, this is not going to work. And so Peter Weller actually like quit for a minute. And they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll get a replacement. We were this far into the movie and we got the suit. So, and he decided to come back, and then he just nailed it. And so his movements are perfect for, what he actually came up with is just perfect in that it definitely is robotic and lumbering,
totally.
but not cartoonish.
Like,
yeah,
I was going to say, there was one moment in the whole thing, because I kind of was watching that, and there was only one moment where I was like, all right, you went a little like, the classic robot-y type thing.
Yeah.
But generally it was like that, stiff, like how you take angles,
right.
like, how you would move, kind of no sudden movements type thing. And even when he did his little twisty gun move,
yes.
It's like it's on a hinge, so it would make sense that he could do that kind of movement,
right.
but he still did it in a way that it was like, okay, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
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 So
it's a great movie.
it was very enjoyable.
I'm glad you finally got to check it out.
I finally got to check it out. I don't know that I feel like I need to see 2 and 3.
Yeah, they are much lesser movies. But if you're bored someday, I think 2 at least has some stuff that's pretty fun in it. But yeah, I
was happy to see, and maybe it happens in 2, that there wasn't like a romance between the robot and the partner.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, it was actually really nice that it wasn't like, some ridiculous thing. It was like just somebody who recognized a partner, and, there was sort of that human connection piece and trust that's built up in a partnership. And it was just I was like, please tell me that they're not going to do some stupid romance. And they didn't. And I was like,
they didn't.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see Nancy Allen get to just play a good cop, and not just be romantic fodder. For any other movie from this era, action, movie would have definitely made her the romantic interest, regardless of the fact that he's, only like 10% man left,
Right. I was like, oh man. And this guy getting shot at like, twice to be like, decimated. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, now we're just insult to injury.
And those closing scenes are just some of the best lines in cinema history, I think. The Murphy, I'm a mess. And then his response, they'll fix you. They fix everything.
They fix everything.
It's so like heartbreaking and brilliant and funny at the same time. It's so rare that you get like that many layers in, one movie, like so many tones that all somehow magically work together. And then the same thing with the very closing line where he's like, nice shooting, son. What's your name? And then he spent this whole time kind of going back and forth. Is he RoboCop? Is he the cop the person that he was before he became? Then he says Murphy, and which was his name, Alex Murphy.
Yep.
And it's just like,
yep.
Kind of bring it to the eye, maybe. It's really
true.
good. Yeah.
Like, for something that like you don't typically get emotional about a robot, and I was like, okay. And I'm telling you, it will forever tickle me that other robot like take its little robot toes and try to figure out stairs.
Oh, you notice it kind of like cries like a baby too when it's like its legs are kicking up and down. It's like,
and he like just turns around to look at it like, loser.
Yes.
And then walks out.
Yes. It's
so
great.
Anyway, I knew you would be tickled. And so I was like, all right, I am watching that. So, But you also have spoken so highly about it. I was like, oh, for God's sakes, let me see what this is about.
It's funny because it's one of those things that I knew I always liked it, but it wasn't until like rewatching it again recently that I was like, damn it, this may be one of my top 5 movies of all time. You know, it just reminded me like, this thing is damn good.
Yeah, I don't think I would put it there, but also,
well, wait until you watch it for the 3rd time, and then you might you might agree.
All right.
Imagine a place where cannonballs are encouraged, marshmallows are mandatory, and just 5 more minutes turns into all day. That's Veranda Beach Resort on Lake Osoyoos, one of the warmest freshwater lakes in North America, located on the border of Canada in Oroville, Washington. The vibe is delightfully old school, with time spent with family and friends at the beach, on the lake, and under the stars. Sounds of laughter, dogs, and screen doors are the soundtracks of your stay. Rent your own fully furnished cottage with Wi-Fi and all the comforts you need. It's the best of then with all the ease of now. Veranda Beach Resort. Come play, stay, and make memories. Visit verandabeach.com now to book your stay. And we're back right here on Don't Ask Me to Talk, one of your podcast pals, Eric Ryder.
I'm Stacey Heller.
And again, if you're just joining us, this is our Cultural Blind Spot segment. Really, it's where we talk about the pieces of culture that we've consumed over the last week. And oftentimes, it's a big piece of culture that is either very well known or very revered in the culture that for whatever reason, one of us has not had the chance to check it out. And I've been talking recently about the AFI Top 100 being kind of a project. Now, for people that don't know about the AFI, it's the American Film Institute, and they have a famous list of 100 films, 100 years, 100 movies is what they call it. And it's supposed to be, in their opinion, like their board of film buffs, pick like the top 100 movies of all time. So if you really want to feel cultured, you will have watched these movies, essentially. I mean, that's the concept. Right. I don't necessarily agree with every single choice that's on this list, but generally speaking, it's a pretty good list of classic movies. I've been going back to this thing, and I have now seen 47 of the 100 AFI films.
That's good. I'll have to go through and see how many I've seen. I'm sure you've seen way more than me.
You've seen a lot of these. As I looked through the list, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, we talked about that on the show. Stacey saw that. So I think you're probably doing better than you think. Maybe not as good as me, just because I have made it a project to watch these and talk about it on the show. But I crossed off a milestone movie just last night. I finally sat down and watched Modern Times, the Charlie Chaplin movie from 1936.
Wow.
And I tell you what, I have his movie, The Great Dictator, in my save list for a long time, like, because I knew that was considered a classic. And I wanted to watch Chaplin movies, but I'm like, a talkie will be easier for me to consume than a silent film.
Right.
But last night I've got 90 minutes, and I say to myself, what can I watch here in 90 minutes? At Modern Times, 87 minutes. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. If I get bored, I'll just, go do something else. It's totally fine. I got engrossed in this thing really quickly.
Really?
And as it turns out, it's not a talkie, but then again, it's not a silent movie either. It's one of the rare occasions where it was like on that cusp of sound being in movies. But you had the silent movie star still making what they knew to be their art, which was silent movies.
Right.
But like kind of, bringing in, it's like kind of like a Wizard of Oz thing where it's like the cusp of black and white to color, where they have that very dramatic first part of the movie being in black and white, and then it transitions into color. It was kind of like that, where they put sound effects, music, and, by the way, the music composed by Charlie Chaplin. This guy did it all.
Really?
Not only starred, wrote, directed, produced, edited his movies, but also wrote the music, at least in the case of Modern Times. And you know what? It was just amazing, like how much of this is still very relevant today, because it's kind of a satirical take on the industrialized world. And there's stuff in there that's almost futuristic that they kind of predicted, but didn't exist at the time. Like they have the boss. He starts at the film working in a factory, and they show the boss like on big video screens talking to the workers. And there's even a part where he goes to the bathroom and there's a camera in the bathroom and the boss pops up on a screen and says, "Hey, quit dilly-dallying, get back to work."
That's creepy. That's crazy.
Right. And so there's like little bits of speech in it that I was like, what? I wonder if they added this later to try and appeal to audiences that had grown up on talkies. But no, this was all part of it. They made it this hybrid thing because it was like, again, right on the cusp in 1936 of silent movies transitioning to talkies, to sound movies. So it was really interesting, the choices where they made. And this is Charlie Chaplin, his famous Little Tramp character. So this is the last one where he portrays the Little Tramp in the movie. And of course, all the movies before this where he played it didn't have sound.
Right.
So he doesn't speak at all in this movie. At the end, he sings a song, but he sings it in kind of a gibberish, fake Italian, fake French kind of thing.
Oh,
and then
like my accents.
He kind of acts out the song while he's singing it. I totally expected this to be homework, to be honest. Like, I was like, okay, well, I want to, check off another classic movie.
Right.
But this thing is so fun. There's so many jokes in it, and they all work. There was nothing where I thought, like, oh, well, that's outdated or that's ham-fisted. And there's so many, like, amazing, like, effects in it, too, that, like, still hold up. This movie looks great, for a film made in 1936, watching it 90 years later, and the effects still look good. It doesn't look cheesy at all. There's a part where he gets a job at a shipbuilding site, and he accidentally causes an accident where the ship that's being worked on gets launched into the water. And you can see that, okay, they're using some rear projection to make this happen, but it still looks pretty good. And that's the jankiest effect in the whole movie.
Wow.
The rest of it is like seamless and looks incredible. I'm like, how the hell did they do this? Because it looks so good. There's a scene where he gets a job. He basically, through this movie, he ends up working in a bunch of different places because he can't keep a job. Because at the beginning of the movie, he gets sucked into the gears of this factory, and it like makes him cuckoo, basically.
Sounds like Modern Times, honestly.
It absolutely does, yes. So, but he gets a job as a night watchman in a department store, and like the fourth floor of it is still under construction. He like is trying out some roller skates, And he's like roller skating around on this fourth floor of this department store. And you can see that there's no rail above like the stairwell or escalators, early escalators as they had at the time. And it looks so much like he's going to fall to his death. But he's like, I can do this blindfolded. And he's like doing these amazing roller skating moves and just like around and around. And it looks so harrowing. And then I found out later, they used a matte painting for the department store. It looks incredible.
Wow.
I'm just like, I was in awe of this movie. Charlie Chaplin was incredible, but his co-star, Paulette Goddard, who I guess was his romantic interest at the time as well, she plays like an orphan girl, and she is so gorgeous. And like through the movie, I'm like, well, why doesn't she just become a model? You know, I've got this kind of like, modern like thought,
right.
Like, yeah, why is she homeless? She's gorgeous, why did she just go be a superstar already? Yes. And then by the end of the movie, she gets hired to be a dancer at a diner. And this diner is nuts, by the way. They've got like dancing going on. They got people walking through with their dogs and stuff. He gets hired to be a waiter and he's like trying to make us through. I'm like, this is the worst run diner of all time.
It's like Buc-ee's.
Yeah, it's a mess. But yeah, she does get hired on to be a performer because she's gorgeous and can dance around. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they even thought of that. Like my cynicism was too early. They figured it out. Yeah.
I love this. So, now, what platform did you see this on?
It's on Canopy.
Okay.
And it still looks incredible. It still sounds incredible. And it's still relevant to today because basically it's a really funny satire on industrialization, on factories, on the labor movement. There's a part where he gets put in prison because they mistake him as the leader of a communist organization. And this guy is like that one of the other prisoners is smuggling cocaine. So he puts it in a salt shaker. And then Charlie Chaplin's character is like, pours the salt on his food. And then he's like going crazy and stuff. Wow. I'm like, they got away with that in 1936?
Well, here's my thing. I'm like, they had cocaine in 1936?
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, it used to be in Coca-Cola.
I know.
But I didn't know.
I didn't know that they were like,
I didn't know,
straight up using it.
Oh, of course they were. Yes. I mean, it used to be like you could buy it in the drugstore, but I didn't know that they were like arresting people for it in 1936. So yeah, I was really impressed by this movie. It still holds up. It still looks great. It's still really funny. I could go into all the jokes and stuff, but just for time's sake, I'll just highly recommend watching it and crossing it off your cultural blind spot list if you haven't seen it already, because it is really good.
I love it. I love when you like a movie because you get super enthusiastic and you've got like all the bits and the whole thing. Well, it makes me want to see them.
Well, I hope you do, because there's so many like jokes in this thing that we saw later on, that like it's so influential. Like there's a part where they're dreaming of owning a home together. He does the Dick Van Dyke trip over the Ottoman.
Oh, okay.
It's like directly from that. Like Dick Van Dyke stole that from Charlie Chaplin. There's the scenes in the factory that are I Love Lucy, like when they're in the factory.
Yep, eating the chocolates.
Like lifted directly from this movie, where he's like trying to keep up with the moving
conveyor
parts.
Belt, yeah.
The conveyor belt, yeah. And his job is to tighten nuts on these little widgets. And they don't even stop the machine to switch guys doing the nut tightening. So one guy has to like stand there just waiting, and then the other guy like throws him the wrenches, and then they have to run to the like front of the machine to tighten them up and tighten them up, tighten them up.
Oh my gosh.
And it's exactly like I Love Lucy's chocolate thing. It's like you can see so many jokes in this that went on to, you know, be directly lifted by other very famous comedy people 20, 30, 40 years later.
I love that. That's so cool.
It's pretty fun. So,
all right.
Gotta highly recommend it.
Okay. Modern times for modern times.
Indeed. Yeah. It's amazing a 90-year-old movie still holds up this well. That was the thing that just bowled me over the most.
Well, and this is why it's on the AFI 100.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, there's plenty on there that I don't necessarily think should be on there. But then there's lots like this where I go, okay, I get it. You know?
Well,
you got this one right.
Charlie Chaplin, you know, maybe younger people don't really know who he is, but he's one of those iconic characters that, like, you know immediately who he is with his little, like, pigeon-toed walk and the little mustache and the whole thing, right? Like, you just...
The little tramp character that he played was very famous. You just kind of
know, like, what... Like, you think you've seen Charlie Chaplin. I realized I had never seen a movie with Charlie Chaplin and was like...
I had only seen clips before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I was just like, huh. And... You were so right that some of these scenes, I'm like, oh, Charlie Chaplin walked so that these other comedians and entertainers could run. And like, I think about Charlie Chaplin in on roller skates, like Fred Astaire did in one of his movies, a whole roller skating scene and lots of physical comedy. I mean, he was more of a dancer, but still the physical dexterity of doing a scene. I think about, like, as you said, the factory scene. You know, it's like the Laurel and Hardy stuff and like the Honeymooners and like, I mean, just so many different things that watching it, I was like, oh my gosh. And you were right about, you know, the music and then having the overlay. Like Pete came home when I was watching it and he's like, wait, is this a silent movie or is this a talking movie? And I'm like,
right.
And so it reminded me, if you've watched Singin' in the Rain, like that movie was about them transitioning from silent movies to talkies and how they had, like, you know, these different things that they did. And so this was like the real life version of that, like happening in real time. So it was fascinating. And it was like weirdly modern in points, like Big Brother's watching you. And, you know, just some things like that. And, you know, just about like the Industrial Revolution taking over jobs and trying to find jobs. And, it was funny and it was historical and it was fascinating.
And, you know, it reminds me of, I forgot to mention this last week, but there was a movie that came out in the last couple of years called Hundreds of Beavers that appears to be very influenced by this. It's a modern movie, but it's a black and white, semi-silent movie where they do have they have music and sound effects and stuff like that, but not dialogue.
Okay.
And it's really funny and really well made. And it is, last I checked, on Canopy and Hoopla, so well worth checking out. And if you like that kind of humor that's in modern times, I think you'll like Hundreds of Beavers. It's very funny and very well done. But it's like some modern filmmakers attempt to do that whole silent / talkie hybrid thing that Charlie Chaplin did 90 years ago with modern times.
Yeah.
And it does star Hundreds of Beavers,
okay,
which are just guys in costumes, but it's very fun.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it was super enjoyable, and you know, it was just like, besides being enjoyable and all these other things and like crossing off this and, whatever, it was just like, wow, the things that they were able to do. Like, it's so long ago and yet it's just a blip. It's crazy. So.
Yeah. And it was just another one where it's like, okay, I see where that came from. And it's not like with a lot of other movies where it's a catchphrase, that you hear repeated down time because of the fact that it was mostly silent. But there's images from it and just like jokes and stuff, the physical humor and stuff that you just see echoed through culture for the last 100 years, which pretty fun whenever we do these to see like, okay, that's the birthplace or that's the thing that popularized this particular thing that we've kind of just taken for granted as a trope.
Oh yeah, all the pratfalls in the little hut that they had, and him falling and breaking the various parts and whatever. And you're right, Paulette Goddard was a hottie.
Oh yeah,
she was beautiful.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah. So well done, Charlie.
I get where you're coming from.
So anyway.
Hey, I'm Stacey Heller. I'm one of your podcast pals, along with Eric Ryder from Don't Ask Me to Talk. Are you liking what you're listening to? Awesome. We would love if you would follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram as Don't Ask Me to Talk. We also are wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can follow us, subscribe, like, rate, whatever it is that you do. You can also email us. That's asking@don'taskmetotalk.com. And if you'd like, text or leave us a voicemail at 475-999-2726. Basically, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.
I watched an old classic movie called Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which this movie is a classic because it stars Joan Crawford and her, in real life, bitter rival, Bette Davis, starring as sisters. And holy cow, it's something. I mean, it literally had all of the...
Classic 1962 movie.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And it had all of the drama of a true crime thing. Like, family jealousy and favoritism from the father and mental health issues and a terrible accident and murder and mayhem and money. And I'm like, what is happening with this movie? It was unhinged. And I think I had two takeaways from this movie. Joan Crawford really did herself a disservice when she did Mommy Dearest, because if you've seen that movie, it makes you hate Joan Crawford so much in that role. And she's such a cartoonish character in that role. So then seeing her in this movie, you're like, well, she was beautiful. Like, she was a really handsome woman. But Bette Davis is like your classic melodramatic, unhinged actress that is just willing to go there. And her playing Baby Jane and being so crazy, no wonder she got the Oscar, which actually I don't think she got the Oscar. I think Anne Bancroft got the Oscar that year. And I think that Joan Crawford accepted it for her or something. It was like a big scandal. So it was just fascinating. And a lot of times when we talk about our cultural...
Yeah, she was nominated for Best Actress for the movie.
Bette Davis
and
was,
Victor,
right?
Yeah, Bette Davis. Victor Bueno was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Ernest Haller, Best Cinematography. So a lot of nominations for this, but it looks like they only really won for Best Costume Design in the black and white category, no less.
Which is crazy.
So it was one of those ones with a lot of nominations that pretty much got shut out, which we see sometimes, which it's always a little bit strange.
Yeah, totally. So a lot of times when we talk about the cultural blind spots, we'll talk about things that we're like, oh, so that's from there. So one of the things, first of all, in the opening scene, little baby Jane is singing like the Swanee River. And I'm like, when's the last time I heard somebody sing that song when it wasn't in a Looney Tunes? So that was kind of funny.
1962.
Right? And then I realized, like, all of the parodies, like on SNL, they've done a bit. I think it was Kate McKinnon and another, I think Adie Bryant did a bit about sisters. And it was very like, you know, the bitter rivalry and the food and serving like the rat and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's what that's from. Okay. So now I have a better sense of that melodramatic, like sisters and some of that stuff. And once again, I was able to then draw that line from this movie. So it was great. I mean, it was borderline campy. I mean, not even borderline. I mean, honestly, it sort of veered off like the car that made the sister a paraplegic. I was riveted. I only got up to go to the bathroom. Like, it was fun. And again, knowing the back history between these two, like, iconic actresses was just fascinating.
Now, I looked up famous quotes from this movie because I am aware of this movie being a famous movie. Uh-huh. But like you going into it, I wasn't necessarily aware of where in the culture this, you know, like the bits from it, the famous quotes. So I just looked up famous quotes, and one that stands out to me is, "But you are, Blanche, you are in that chair," which Jane says in the movie. And I know that has been parodied in many occasions, even like, for instance, on Seinfeld, they've dipped into that. Mm-hmm. I think The Simpsons has as well. So, yeah, that's one of those.
Totally. It's, you know, and the same thing with the silver dish with having, you know, an animal or a rat or whatever. Like, she serves lunch, and then as a throwaway, she's like, you know, we have rats in the basement. And you're like, I know where this is going. So, yeah, super fun. Highly recommend.
We watched Whatever Happened to Baby Jane this week.
Yeah, that was a wild ride, right?
It was, and very enjoyable. And I gotta say, I really thought that the doll, it was going to play a much bigger role in this movie. When they set it up at the beginning of Baby Jane Hudson as this kid star, and she's got her own doll that they sell to people, and it looks just like her, and it's like creepy. I really thought, like, oh, this is going to be like a Twilight Zone thing, right, and this doll is going to be haunted and in some way like possess her or something. And I knew there was, you know, potential for some horror there, but it really wasn't that at all. It was just like she carried all her mementos from the time, that the short period where she was a successful little performer. Yep.
And a little jerk, by the way.
Yeah. Exactly. And then as she becomes overshadowed by her sister, who becomes a big actress. And it's really about their relationship. And there's so much there. Betty Davis as Jane Hudson, Baby Jane Hudson, and Joan Crawford as Blanche Hudson. And just, I thought they're masterful performances from both of them. Very enjoyable, and it took some turns that I really didn't see coming.
Right? That ending?
Especially, well, the ending, but before we get to that, I got to mention Victor Bueno, who plays Edwin Flagg, who is a pianist that they bring in because Jane wants to revive her career singing, "I wrote a letter to Daddy. The address was in heaven." You know, it's just terrible songs that potentially work if you're 5 years old, but do not work when you're 60 something. Right. So there was this level of comedy that I didn't expect watching this thing. And then I was laughing out loud at some of this stuff. And then just Victor Bueno, what a interesting actor.
Right?
He struck me as like a Crispin Glover type, where it's like, I don't know if this is good acting, but it's mesmerizing. He's just a weirdo.
Yes, and you can't tell if he's a good guy or a creep.
Yeah, well, probably a little of both. But yeah, there's just, it's his presence is just so like, it's just weird, and Crispin Glover is the only other actor I can think of that's like this, that it's just like there's something about him you just don't. Maybe Christopher Walken is another example where it's just like their presence is like, is this good acting or is it just mesmerizing?
Yeah.
And I lean towards the mesmerizing part. I don't know, that because I don't see real people acting like this, but at the same time, I don't think like, well, that takes me out of the movie. Right. It's just like, I can't stop watching this guy. He's weird as hell.
Yeah,
but
100%.
I'm
Good call
enjoying
out
it.
on the Crispin Glover. That's like a perfect. You're right. Yes. Yeah. That was an odd little foray into weirdness.
Yeah, and I kept expecting him to like, oh, he's gonna like save the day, but instead he just kind of runs off. I thought there would be more to his role there, so that was an interesting choice. And then the ending, when she has already hurt Blanche's character. And basically she's been like freaking her out, so to the point where she hasn't had a meal because she's jealous of her and the attention she gets and the fact that she's going to sell their house. And so she takes her to a beach and they're just there like all night long. Blanche just starving to death on this beach and the police are looking for her. What with the ending with the car stuff, there's an accident that they show early in the film where supposedly it looks like Bette Davis's character has crippled Joan Crawford's character by running into her with her car. Yes. And you don't see who is actually behind the wheel of that thing. So it's kind of mysterious. And then at the end, kind of dying, they show Joan Crawford's character say that she had run over herself, basically, and then blamed it on Bette Davis's character. Mm-hmm. But is that reality? I mean, as much as the film can be reality, or is this Baby Jane's like deluded mind? Because we've got so much like so much evidence of her like being like confused and kind of crazy during the movie. Right. So we don't know, like, has Blanche already died? I mean, she's just imagining that, or did she actually hit herself with the car?
Yeah, I mean, there's a crazy codependency between them, and it's like, just this weird. It was so weird, and I mean, that's why it was I watched it during my true crime phase that I went through, and it was like, oh, this is so like along those, like, this person has had a cognitive schism, and like it could go either way. Like, you could take the Joan Crawford character for, what she's saying is like truth, or it could be what you're talking about. Yeah, it was odd.
To me, in my mind, that's all in Baby Jane Hudson's mind.
I took it literally.
I think Blanche is already dead. You took it literally.
I took it literally. I took it that she was like, God, I feel bad that I did this to her. I've been saddling her with this, my whole life. And I kind of did this to her because I was so mad at what a jerk she was and was happy to vilify her.
Well, at that point, Blanche is super successful, and Jane is, contractually making movies because of Blanche's success. So I don't know that pays off for her in any way.
Yeah.
having it definitely, I mean, being crippled does not pay off for Blanche in any respect.
No.
And blaming her sister doesn't seem to pay off for her in any way other than she needs somebody to take care of her.
Right.
But if that was her gamble, that backfired hugely.
Big time. And then the little bits where you'd have the neighbor who's like living next door, and it would be like, it was just interesting where you would sort of like come to another side so that you were like, okay, let's just ground you in reality for a second. And there's clearly a whole crazy world going on inside this house. And it would take you out for a minute and you're like, oh, okay. And then it would bring you back in. Yeah, I'm so glad you watched it. Yay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was a very fun movie. And I just thought, like, why, as if you're in a wheelchair, would you allow someone to say your bedroom is upstairs?
Right?
It's your house. You pick the ground floor bedroom, even if it means converting the living room.
I'm so with you. I saw this and I was like, why would you be on the second floor? But you don't have a movie without that. So there's that.
Right.
I mean, the drama and definitely the real life rivalry between those two women, those main actresses. It definitely fueled just that idea that these sisters like had it for each other.
Yeah. And they were both brilliant in their respective roles. I enjoyed very much the two performances, but man alive. I mean, what a creep. Right? Baby Jane.
Oh my God. It's the rats. Like, we have rats in the basement and you just knew what was coming. Yeah. That's some stuff.
And what's coming is that she serves her a dead rat for her dinner. Mm-hmm. After she has already served her dead parakeet for her dinner or for her lunch. Yeah. You didn't eat your lunch. So, because you just killed my pet and served it to me, which is why she's starving at the end, because she's too afraid to eat after this insanity of her serving her pet and vermin from the house. It's psychological torture, essentially.
Totally.
But enjoyable.
Totally.
Thanks again for listening to this week's edition of Don't Ask Me to Talk. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and we will get to that great debate on which utensil is the most valuable player.